Alrighty, everyone. So if you guys don't know, I'm here. I'm here with Nero, bro. Say hi.
Blue.
They announced the supposedly the entire cast for Avengers Doomsday, and some of it strikes me as a little strange. So I wanted to have a little discussion here, kind of theory craft a little bit, talk about maybe the future of the MCU because it's not really doing that good right now. I don't think, and just kind of see what we're getting at. So, Logan, did you see the cast list? I
I
assume you
saw the
did.
cast list. I saw lots of names that I recognized, and I saw a few that I did not.
Yeah, because they just said the actor names, so like it's easier to talk about like who's actually in it when you do like their name. So I'm gonna do it that way. Just a real quick run through, so that not just the audience, but you can also hear who all's in it. So starting, let's see. Okay, so we've got Thor, Loki, and if actor names need to be specified, I will. Thor, Loki, Anthony Mackie's Captain America, Ant Man, Black Panther, Shuri, Shang-Chi, Falcon, M'Baku. I like M'Baku. And then for some reason, this is the part that throws me off a little bit. Thunderbolts. Basically, all of them are in this movie except for one. Gee, I wonder who's gonna fucking die in that movie. um, so we got Winter Soldier. We've got Yelena, the new Black Widow, U.S. Agent, Red Guardian, Ghost, and the guy who's presumed to be Sentry.
Okay. And who were all the Thunderbolts and who's not?
The only one they did not mention is Taskmaster.
Oh, okay. I honestly forgot that
I
Taskmaster was
know.
going to be in the Thunderbolts
I
movie.
forgot she even existed. She doesn't even have any lines in the Black Widow movie. She never speaks, not once.
I also forgot that Taskmaster was a she.
Yeah, it's stupid. The whole thing's dumb. I want the real Taskmaster, damn it. And
Yeah.
now part of the reason I was going to have you here is because of what I'm about to read next. This part is interesting. They also announced officially, this isn't like some bullshit, that Patrick Stewart's Professor X, Ian McKellen's Magneto, God, they're pushing 90, I think. Uh, James Marsden's Cyclops, Rebecca Romijn's Mystique. So this is all the early 2000s ones, which I think is pretty cool. Uh, Nightcrawler, Alan Cumming from X2. I think we only saw him once. That was a big deal. Kelsey Grammer as Beast as well. What do you
Okay.
think? What do you think about that?
So there's like some of those guys that I really like seeing in. Um, and uh, there's really one that I really just don't like. They could have just left out, and I don't
Cyclops?
really understand. No, no, Cyclops is good, especially if they can like incorporate Cyclops in a better way than those movies did. Not that Cyclops was terrible in the
He
original
was
X-Men
shafted.
films. He's just not. He's kind of a huge douche in those movies, and
Yep.
he's not. He doesn't feel like a leader in those movies. Um,
Yeah, he's
he
never the
feels
one in
like he's
charge.
smart,
Yeah.
but yeah.
And on top of
But
that, the one where he would have been in charge, X3, they fucking just kill him.
yeah, Alan Cumming as Nightcrawler is a little confusing to me. Just because that wasn't the greatest. Um, he wasn't the
Nightcrawler.
greatest
Yeah.
Nightcrawler,
Yeah.
and I assume, or I hope rather, that they're going to do something a little different with him.
I
Because those movies
presume.
didn't really get Nightcrawler right. And
Yeah.
actually, the
He's
the
only in
follow-up
one.
movies
Yeah.
didn't get Nightcrawler right either.
Yeah, he's only in
So,
one. Alan Cummings' Nightcrawler is only in one of them, which is weird.
yeah. And
And
I don't know that I really needed to see uh, Rebecca Roman's Mystique again.
I did with
I'm
that
not sure if
bodysuit.
that's pronounced.
No, I'm kidding. But
I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce her last name or not, but
Rebecca Romaine, I think, is how you're supposed to say it. But
Romaine.
whatever, it's fine.
Yeah, I don't really need to see her Mystique again. She was fine. She did okay.
Yeah,
Um, but
but I think they're gonna go more along the route of the Deadpool and Wolverine thing, where it's gonna be an alternate universe with the same actors, but like they're gonna have comic accurate suits and their personalities are gonna be more on point for like what they're supposed to be. I think
well, I mean, seeing Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen again is going to be great. That's going to be those two,
they can do the roles in their sleep. Like,
right? And this has to be
yeah, no, there's no way
their
they can't
last
do any more.
time. They're both really old, so I don't see like if they both survive, we're not gonna see them again. Not those actors. We'll have to get new ones because
Yeah,
they can't keep this up.
and that's gonna lead into a question I'm gonna have once I finish reading the cast list. So we'll get to
Yeah.
that. But
Okay.
another one that surprised me was Channing Tatum as Gambit is coming back.
Yeah, that's fine.
I don't really have
I
a
don't
problem
I
with
don't
it.
see how I don't see how Gambit is gonna play a huge role in a Doctor Doom centered Avengers movie.
I don't either.
So
I think it's just gonna be there for fun because like
yeah,
a lot of people don't know this. Just Logan, I'm sure you know this, but a lot of people, in case you don't know, the reason Channing Tatum was cast as Gambit in Deadpool and Wolverine, just in general, is because that was a fan casting that was on for a while, and they were working on an actual Gambit movie, and he was starring as the lead, and it just kind of fell apart. But he worked on it for a long time, and he's always wanted to. It's very much a Ryan Reynolds Deadpool passion project thing for him. He loves Gambit.
yeah, um, and he did a fine job.
So good for him. I got no problem with it.
Better, better maybe like I don't know if I want
Who
to say
the
better,
hell's your
more true
dialogue
to the
coach?
character. More true to the character than the Gambit that we got from like X-Men Origins.
God, that was horrifying.
Yeah,
The only thing I thought was cool was when he like levitated his cards and stuff, and like when he was sitting there, he had like a hat on and he like levitated the cards in like a circle and stuff with like touch of his
yeah.
fingers. I thought that was kind of neat, um, but yeah, like I said, also Kelsey Grammer as Beast, which we've already seen in the Marvels. That's the only reason I
Yeah,
tried to sit through that. I couldn't finish it, so I just skipped to the end. Um,
yeah.
I couldn't do it.
That's gonna be an interesting thing there too because the first time that we saw Beast, and actually the last time that we saw Monica Rambeau, she had been moved to an alternate universe that Beast was in. So is it going to be like the same
Is that yeah? Is
Beast
that I
from
would
that universe?
assume.
Is Monica Rambeau? She's not listed.
Yeah, that is weird. I think that's strange, because notice Beast is mentioned, specifically Kelsey Grammer Beast is mentioned, but not the other people in that scene. Like the other Captain Marvel
Actually,
from the I forget her name, but the Captain Marvel's best friend, the other woman, she was in that scene too. I think, along with Monica, but neither of them are mentioned. But he is,
i-
which is weird.
is is Miss Marvel or Captain Marvel mentioned?
No, they weren't. That's what I was going to talk about eventually. Was the
That's,
people that were not mentioned, which are quite a few. Almost all the people from the TV shows aren't mentioned,
that's really strange.
including Moon Knight and Daredevil.
Well, we knew that Moon Knight was going to be a little bit of a stretch, just because they canceled his show. Um, with no intention to do a second season, which honestly, I personally think is a huge mistake.
I think that yeah, I think that's a
Um,
mistake. Um,
the first season was pretty good. It was one of the only shows, out of the Marvel TV shows, it was one of the only ones that felt original and good.
yeah,
So that was probably a misstep.
I
But
think that's a misstep because some of the Moon Knight comics are actually good and cool and weird.
yeah.
Um, just to finish the
Hey, what
list real
about
quick, though.
yeah,
Um,
go ahead.
oh, what were you gonna say? You first.
No, you go ahead.
Just to finish the list, though, the new Fantastic Four are also confirmed for it. So Pedro, Vanessa Kirby, Evan Moss, the guy from The Bear, I love him, and Joseph Quinn as the Human Torch. So all those are in it, along with Namor from Wakanda Forever, and obviously Robert Downey Jr. is Doom. We knew that already. But yeah, that's the list. Now, what were you gonna say?
I was gonna ask about Kate Bishop.
She is not on the list.
Hmm,
Neither is Hawkeye,
that
which
kind of
means they're
sucks
gonna
too.
lose. Have you seen that meme? I've
Yeah,
have you seen
that's
that meme? It's so funny because in the first two Avengers movies, they got Hawkeye to help, and in both of them, they win. In Infinity War, he's not there; they lose. They get him for
well,
Endgame, they win. It's
common
science.
denominator.
It's science, Logan. It's science. um, yeah, I want. Do you think this is the full list? Because people are saying it's not.
Um, so there's just yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say there's gonna be people in that movie. Um, I don't. I would be amazed, and I wouldn't really be that upset. Um, but I would be amazed if Carol Danvers is not in this movie at all.
I think it'll be very telling if she's not, and I'm just gonna leave it at that.
Yeah,
But
I
yeah,
would be very surprised.
yeah, that
So
does seem odd to me that she's not
I
even
don't
mentioned.
I don't know that she needs to be in this movie with it being, Doctor Doom centered,
Yeah,
but I would still she hasn't missed any of the big crossovers so far, and
it's because
it
there's
didn't
been two.
feel like they were trying to move away from her very much.
Yeah, I think it feels quite clear to me that they're moving away from Captain Marvel now. Um, because they were having that push for a minute where they're like, she's gonna lead the Avengers and stuff at one point when they first talked about like who's the strongest Avenger and who's gonna maybe be leading the Avengers as like the new captain kind of thing. They were kind of saying that maybe it's her. So like I don't know, which they backtracked on very quickly. Most people don't even remember that, but um,
Yeah, I have a very vague memory of that, honestly.
but um, what's weird to me is the ones like I said that they have not mentioned. Echo, for example, is not going to be in this. I knew that wasn't going to happen, but I'm just saying.
Yeah,
Uh,
I liked Echo, and Echo's appearance, and was it
Hawkeye.
yeah, Hawkeye. Um, Echo's appearance in Hawkeye was good. I like Echo as a character, um, especially just for like Daredevil's sake or like street level type stuff.
Yeah,
And but I tried to watch a TV show, and
I didn't
it
like
was
it.
just a little boring.
I was bored.
I don't think I ever finished it.
It felt like they
Um,
were trying to mimic the Netflix like Marvel stuff, but like they didn't know how. They even tried to
yeah,
have like a one take action scene with Daredevil in it, and it
yeah,
just kind of felt weird. Um, so like the people that are not mentioned, that's the weird part for me is they did not mention Miss Marvel, Captain Marvel, Monica Rambeau, so none of those are in it supposedly. We'll see. Echo, Daredevil, Moon Knight, Hulk, any of them. No Hulks, as far as I can tell.
yeah. That's crazy too.
Yeah, no Hulk, as far as I can tell. Doctor Strange. Now that one's a bit iffy because the actor Benedict Cumberbatch came out a while back and said he was in the movie, and then it was kind of a big thing, and like literally the next day he gave another interview saying, "Oh, I was kind of spanked by Marvel because I said something that wasn't true. I was wrong. I just assumed I was in Doomsday, but I'm not." He did say though that he has a big role in Secret Wars, which Community, if you guys have read Secret Wars, you probably already know what he's doing.
Here's the thing about him not being on Doomsday. I don't see how. Um, and you had asked me a question about this
Hmm?
before we started recording this, about how like Doctor Doom has to go on a conquest for power, which is,
Yeah,
a
that was one
Doctor
of the
Doom
questions I was going
storyline.
to
That's
get
what he
to.
does.
Yeah,
Uh, I don't see how you don't have Doctor Strange involved at this
he
point in
has to.
the Marvel universe. In the Marvel universe, the only way for him to become this like, you know, Avengers crossover level threat is to get his hands on the Darkhold.
I actually have a different theory, but the Darkhold is an interesting one. I didn't think about that before. That's a good
There's
point.
lots of there's lots of comic books where Doom gets his hands on the Darkhold and becomes um,
Hmm.
a real problem. I mean, he just becomes a real problem no matter what. But
Yeah,
I'm
he's
just
an
saying that
issue.
that's the Darkhold's already in the MCU. They've already got a movie. Um, I don't remember what ended up happening to it at
they
the end of
they destroyed
Multiverse of
it,
Madness.
and something happened to it. But then Wong like takes Scarlet Witch to where they wrote the Darkhold. So like all that info is on this like mountain thing. So like the info is still there. You just had to like
Yeah, and
go get it.
she's also not on the list,
Yeah, she's
right?
not. Yeah.
No
And
Scarlet
not only
Witch.
that, she also said she's not in Secret Wars either.
That sucks.
Which, by the way, why the fuck are you bringing in Magneto and not letting
Yeah,
him meet Wanda at least once? That seems like a
yeah,
wasted ass opportunity. Because this is the one shot you've got to do that. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like, unless you
Especially
cast a
with
new
Ian
one.
McKellen.
Because he ain't doing any more of these movies. There's no way. I don't buy it. I don't think so.
I would be surprised.
I'd be
Yeah, I mean,
very.
it's possible. I would have said that there's no way that they do this one, but
Yeah. I. When it comes to Ian McKellen and Patrick, I see them doing Doomsday and Secret Wars and then being gone forever. I do not see them coming back. There's
I
no
would
way.
love to have, a younger, stronger couple of individuals to play those characters, long
Yeah.
term. So
Uh, yeah. My theory, by the way, in regards to Doom, is that he's gonna steal the power from Loki at the end of
okay,
time. Did you ever finish Loki season 2 or no?
yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
good. Okay, because we're about to go
Okay,
into heavy spoilers for it if you haven't seen it, but that I think was the biggest setup for Secret Wars that we could imagine. Because in the actual Secret Wars book, if for those of you who haven't read it, I know Logan has, but it might have been a minute. What they do is Doctor Doom basically sees the multiverse like imploding, and so he goes on this like quest with Doctor Strange, who's on his side, by the way. He agrees with him on this one for most of it. And they basically like bring death to the Beyonder and a bunch of other shit by like taking all these different versions of Molecule Man and like shooting them into like as a bomb. It's kind of weird, but like it makes sense when you read it. Long story short, he takes the powers of Molecule Man for himself and ascends to godhood. And basically, whenever the multiverse gets destroyed, he like takes little stitches of every universe that he likes and parts of it that he likes and just like makes a place called Battle World, which is fucking horrible. It's got like this giant pit that all the Marvel zombies are in. He fucking so much crazy shit happens in Secret Wars. I assume you know what I'm talking about, but like so much crazy stuff happens in that. But my theory is
so
in
is
this particular case he's going to take the power from Loki in some way. Go ahead, what were you going to say?
so is that where maybe we get like an Avengers versus X-Men type deal?
That's what I was about to say, because what starts this whole story is an Avengers story called Time Runs Out, which is where they do like the incursions and stuff. And it's about like two universes fighting for like not supremacy per se, because they don't care about that, but they want their universe to live. And so my theory is that Doomsday might very well be Avengers versus X-Men,
Hmm.
as like those are the two universes that are doing the incursion. I think is what they're
Well, they're
gonna do.
gonna need some X-Men. They're gonna need some more
Yeah,
X-Men
they're gonna
than
need
what
more
they
than
got.
that.
So, um, but
They're gonna need
there's
Wolvie and a bunch of other shit.
there's gonna be. uh, I just there. It's a, the Marvel universe has a long history at this point of surprise cameos and fan service. So the chances of them telling us everybody that's going to be in the movie in
There's no way. Yeah,
this little video is slim to none. So
that's true.
some of the cameos might suck. They might be
They might.
completely unnecessary, but I guess we'll find out. There's some X-Men that I really, really would love to see in the MCU. Um, that I don't know if we'll get in this movie.
Like who?
Um, well, I would really like to see Storm in the
That's
MCU.
another name
Um,
not on here, by the way. No Halle Berry Storm.
yeah, I would love to see Storm. I I'm I would say Kitty Pride, Shadowcat would be
That'd be
really
cool.
good.
I like Kitty.
Especially since they're doing multiverse stuff, they could get Lockheed in there and have you know
I think
it
Forge
would
would
be
be
cool
cool.
to see. Forge would be awesome. Also, I feel like you don't have to, but eh, and this is probably maybe just personal preference.
Hmm.
I would love to delve into Storm's personal life just because I think it's interesting. And one
Yeah,
of the things that in lots of storylines that's really interesting for her is the way that she maintains relationships with other characters. And when Black Panther transitioned over to Shuri and we have no more T'Challa, one of the things that I mentioned to you at the time was it would have been really cool to be able to see a Storm and Black Panther relationship in the
yeah,
MCU.
I think
That
so
would be
too.
preferred. But I'll tell you what, uh, just as interesting, maybe, in lots of storylines, there's a Storm and Forge relationship.
I've seen it now with
So,
X-Men '97. Super good, by the way. You guys got to
oh
watch it.
yeah, that's true. It was an X-Men '97.
It was a
So
little forced, a little quick, but it worked.
it was,
It was a little quick,
it
but
was,
it's fine. Then she
but
fight this
it was,
weird ghost thing. That was pretty cool, though.
yeah, that was something.
uh,
It was weird.
I would like to see that as well. And you know what's funny too? Secret Wars, like I said, I'm sure you know this, but like Secret Wars is the I can fix whatever the fuck I really want to story, you know? Because by the end, reality is gone. And so, slight spoilers for if you haven't read Secret Wars, but the ending essentially is you're not going to read it. I'm not going to lie to myself. Is essentially Reed Richards using the power of Molecule Man to remake the multiverse piece by piece. Which
Yeah.
in this case, I don't think is what's going to happen. In this case, I think they're going to merge a few universes and keep stuff they like and get rid of stuff they don't and fix things they want to fix.
So
If
here's another question I have. It's
Sure.
Fantastic Four oriented.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, do we end up, and we'll wait to see more in the Fantastic Four movie, but when you're talking about like, universe building and,
Yep.
putting back together the multiverse, it makes me think with the introduction of the Fantastic
Oh,
Four,
Franklin
how
Richards. Is that what you're thinking?
how long before we see Franklin Richards and Valeria Richards?
Hmm. I I would say it'll probably be after uh Secret Wars just because man, these movies have a lot of people in them. You can only set up so much, and in this first movie, I think it'd be strange if we got uh, Sue and Reed to have kids already.
Yeah.
I just think that's a lot to throw at an audience. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree with you, but when you're piecing back together the multiverse, the two characters that I feel like you would want in the MCU
Hmm.
to be able to do that is Reed Richards honestly isn't the one that comes to mind.
He's not.
It's
Yeah.
Wanda Maximoff and Franklin Richards.
Well, Franklin does help him in that too. That's part of the story.
Well,
Is
yeah, I know.
so
I'm
I
sure.
think so. I think I would say that you're probably right. We'll just have to see what happens. It may be one of those things where like, ooh, here's an idea. Okay, in in Secret Wars, uh, Doom basically takes Richard's family as his own, which includes Sue.
Yeah,
What if
that
like,
tracks.
yeah, it really does. Uh, what if maybe in this particular case he's like Franklin's Doom's kid from like the
Oh,
godhood era type thing? That explains his powers too.
yeah, and it would be a weird twist that the MCU would definitely do for no reason.
It'd be really strange. Yeah.
So, yeah, that I
Like
could
still
see that
Sue's
being a
kid, but
possibility.
like also Doom's because of like Battle World and stuff.
Yeah,
I think that would.
I could see that.
I think that would work in a lot of ways with while still skipping at least some of the development that would be needed for them to have kids. Um, but uh, yeah, no, the heavy emphasis on the Fantastic Four seems bold because we haven't seen them yet. But at the same time, a lot of people are saying that Marvel's desperate right now, right? I'm gonna be
Well, they need to
honest.
get something together.
I
They've got a
yeah
whole bunch of
yeah
they've got a whole bunch of characters that are basically in limbo, just kind of waiting around for
yeah
the
I
next
know.
big event. So it's not.
I
I
think it was a
look.
gigantic mistake to not have a movie before Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars, like a middle of the road Avengers movie. I think
Yeah,
that was a huge
Doom
mistake.
in throwing Doctor Doom in there without any previous appearance
Or mention.
is kind of a lot.
Not
Or
one
mention.
not one project of this has mentioned Doom yet. Not one.
One of the things that kind of built up a lot of hype for Infinity War was that we saw Thanos.
All the
Now,
time.
granted, it was
At
yeah,
least
granted
enough. Yeah.
it was maybe like a long time between when we first see Thanos and we get to the Infinity War saga, but maybe that was for the better,
It was
because
built
you
up
knew it
super
was going to get
well.
there
Yeah.
eventually. So, but I Doctor Doom is at least going to be referenced in the Fantastic Four
Oh, he
movie.
has to be.
I don't see any way that they do that movie without him. I know that they're doing a Silver Surfer thing, but he's got to be
Well,
referenced, if
supposedly
not
Doom's
in
in
the
it.
movie. Yeah, I would hope that he's in it,
Like at least a little as a cameo or something. But
just to build his character a
you'd
little
have
bit.
to because I think that's part of the problem right now is there's so much filler in the MCU right now that feels like it wasn't really necessary to watch.
Yeah. Well,
And
they had that whole thing going on with King the Conqueror too.
yeah, I was gonna talk about
Um,
that next because I see a
and
little article him with him right here.
yeah, that didn't do anybody any favors. I don't know
No.
that dropping Jonathan Majors was necessarily the right decision, but we'll see what ends up happening.
I wonder if
I
he's
wasn't enjoying the Kang saga, so
I I mean the only good part about the Kang saga was in Loki. Like
yeah,
which is
Loki, Moon Knight if you count Moon Knight.
yeah.
Um, and I enjoyed, I enjoyed Hawkeye. I enjoyed Falcon and the Winter Soldier. WandaVision was
I liked
but
WandaVision till the end.
yeah,
I think the end was just a typical like Marvel action scene type thing, and the bullshit where they're like, Wanda, you don't, they'll never know what you did for them. Did for them? What?
yeah, put
You
them
took,
through rather.
yeah, I was gonna say put them through is more like because you ripped them away from their families and took away their free will. But no, you
Yeah,
changed your mind, therefore you're a good guy. What the fuck?
yeah. And I didn't like in that show the whole thing with Quicksilver,
That was
you know,
manipulative. I didn't like that.
not being Quicksilver and just being some random guy, I guess. And I
So
don't
mad
know.
about that.
It was
Um,
strange. I didn't like it.
but yeah, like who are really the stars of the MCU right now? Like that seems like
Um,
it'd be an easy
I,
question, right?
I
But
would say it's not like gonna have, like you said, it's gonna be.
it's gonna be what? You're kind of. I don't hear you. Hello. 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 I don't hear you. Hello. Hi.
Technical difficulties.
Oh, you're good. No, what were you saying?
Somebody talking to you and on the Bluetooth.
I was trying to talk to you. I didn't hear nothing. But
I see.
no,
I was saying,
I was asking who the stars of the MCU right now.
okay, yeah, I was saying that it's tough to say without seeing the movie, but Fantastic Four looks like it's going to be really good.
It does
So
look
I
good.
would I would assume we're going to have a more Fantastic Four centered group for at least a little bit, assuming that the movie does well. Um, but outside of the Fantastic Four, there hasn't been very many new characters that were introduced that feel really interesting, with
They
the
don't. A
exception
lot of
of
them didn't stick with people. It doesn't feel
yeah, and
like.
some the few that I'm thinking of are kind of just my own personal opinion.
Yeah,
I really like Monica Rambeau.
I do
I
too.
wish that she was in it more. She
She's
was
good in WandaVision.
more more interesting in the Marvel. Yeah, she was good in WandaVision. I like Kate Bishop a lot. I would like to see Kate Bishop more. Um,
Yeah,
and I don't know if I can even count Moon Knight since he's not supposed to be in the movie and
I like
they
him,
canceled his show.
but I think
But
he's gonna show up in like a Midnight Suns type of thing. Probably.
yeah,
They definitely have plans for him. I think, but excuse me.
so
Um, I would say probably the lead stars of the MCU right now are Doctor Strange, um,
yeah,
Anthony Mackie's Captain America,
yeah.
um, Spider Man, obviously, who's also not on this list, and which is wild to me, but
I don't know, man. Spider-Man's just kind of taking a back seat right now.
maybe a little, yeah. But people love him. No Way Home
Yeah,
is probably the biggest box office thing they've had since Endgame.
yeah. I mean, fact of the matter is, even though he's kind of taken a back seat, which also may be a mistake, Spider-Man's probably the most popular character in the MCU. Like overall,
And I bet you
I
that
don't
makes
see.
Disney so angry.
Yeah, I don't see Spider-Man being beat out in popularity by
No,
any
it's
character in the
never going to
MCU right
happen.
now.
I'm sorry.
Not without, Captain America and Iron Man, specifically
If
Steve Rogers and
yeah,
Robert Downey Jr.
yeah, if Chris Evans is announced to come back as Captain America, like Captain Steve Rogers or something, since Captain America's taken for like another 10 years, then maybe. But like even then I don't see it. Um
Yeah.
so okay, so let's go on to a couple of the questions that I had because some of these I'm kind of curious what your thoughts are. So for starters, and this is mostly a question for you because you're the X-Men person. What do you think the future of the X-Men is? Will any of them survive Doomsday and Secret Wars? And if so, do you think any of them will continue on as their roles in the MCU, raising a new generation, or do you think they're going to just reboot everybody?
That's a good question. Honestly,
Because I'm going
I
to let you
think that
answer, and then I'm going to say what I think.
I think that probably all of the X-Men that we know are going to be in Doomsday are probably um, gone. There's potential for some of them to stick around, like Cyclops or Gambit or Beast. But I don't see Nightcrawler making it. Not a popular enough character. I don't, and Mystique, Charles Xavier, and Magneto are all being played by actors that are pretty old at this point,
Yeah,
or at least
I
a
think
bit old for that role.
I think Stewart and
Um,
McKellen are probably done after this. There's no way. I just don't see
yeah,
it. Because I thought he looked old in Multiverse of Madness too.
yeah, he did. I would say if anybody survives, it's going to be Gambit or Beast.
I think Beast is. I think Beast is going to be the one that sticks around. That's my thought because they're based on the little clip I saw at the end of the Marvels. It looks like they're really leaning in more into the like comic accurate one, where he's like the logical one, the smart one, like the brains of the operation type thing. And
Yeah,
I get the vibe that he might stick around and help raise the Avengers, not Avengers, sorry, the X Men.
yeah, I would love to see new X-Men. Anyways, that I don't even honestly, I don't want to see like necessarily a one for one original team.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't want to see. I want to see different characters. There's some of them I still want. Like I
Can't
said,
wait
I
for
want to see
Angel.
Kitty Pryde. Angel, I don't really care about. Take it or leave it with Angel. He was one of the super original X-Men, like back when they started the comics in like the 60s,
Yeah,
and he's
nobody
just
cares about him now. Yeah.
never been my cup of tea. But like I want to see Magic. Uh, Everybody else should want to see Magic too.
Magic is great.
So
I
I want to
fucking
see
love
Magic.
Magic.
I want to see Kitty Pryde. Um, I
I
would like to see a good live action Bishop.
That would be cool. Do you think here's an idea. Do you think that maybe so we talked about like the fusing of universes and stuff, right? And how that's kind of how Secret Wars ends is they like fuse a bunch of different shit and then like go rebuild the multiverse as it is. What if like how should I word this? What about if maybe they change up a little bit of the mythology in regards to at least only a little, maybe in this first movie, in regards to the X-Men. For example, like people don't trust them because mutants didn't exist before the incursion, right? And maybe the incursion is
Yeah,
what causes mutants to exist. So like they're treated like outsiders because they're either not from this universe or they didn't exist before all this happened.
yeah.
I think that would be cool.
That would be cool.
Not like the whole
Just
thing
because,
because you got to have the discrimination bit in there, but like
yeah, there's got to be an element of vitriol and hatred towards the X-Men. It's pretty essential for the story.
so
Well, unless they want to do Krakoa,
God, that would be crazy. I don't know if Disney
because
has the balls to do.
that builds its own hatred towards the X-Men.
Yeah, I don't know. That story is so weird.
Krakoa is pretty weird. I
I don't.
haven't even covered the whole thing. There's so much there.
I've read a chunk of
Um,
it and saw them like growing X Men in pods, and I'm like, yeah, I'm done. I
yeah,
don't. I don't even dislike it. I
yeah,
read a good chunk. I love Jonathan. What the fuck's his name? Jonathan Hickman. That's who it is. The guy writing the current
yeah,
Ultimate Spider-Man, um, which is also good. Uh, yeah, I think that would be cool. I think giving people not an inherent reason because that's not really the right word, but like I think creating that sense of fear from like the fact of the traumatics of the incursion and stuff, maybe playing on the fact that these people like several years ago had like half the population blipped out, like really got to play on the people's fears of that. I think would be a good idea
yeah.
because the X-Men are about that. Um,
Right.
do you think they should recast Wolverine?
Yes.
Do you have a cast
Preferably.
recommendation? Probably not.
Um, I don't have a cast recommendation. Um,
Henry Cavill.
there's lots of people that would be able to play Wolverine and be able to play. Wolverine well.
Danny DeVito.
Danny DeVito is not one of the people that
I would kill to
I have
see a
in mind.
variant of
Um,
Wolverine that's Danny DeVito. Oh, that'd be so wonderful.
so there's some people that I would really like to see in that role that I'm pretty sure he'll never get. Honestly, I don't know if that counts as a recommendation.
Yeah.
Um, but
No.
you know, I think I think Daniel Radcliffe could do a really good
I
job.
was
I've
just
been saying
thinking
that for
that.
a long time.
I think the
Um,
same thing.
one of the new ones I've seen is Anthony Starr.
Mm,
So I
I
I could see Anthony Starr playing a really good Wolverine.
I could to a degree, but he's so tall, and like that's already
Is
been a
he?
complaint. I think he's at least 6 foot,
Oh,
if not more. How
interestingly,
is
one that I don't
Anthony?
love it, one I don't love as much, but is definitely um,
Oh, never mind.
part of
He's less
the
than 6 foot.
conversation
Good.
is Carl Urban.
I think it'd be cool to see him as a variant, but I don't know if I want to see him as like the mainstay Wolverine either. I also don't know if he would
Yeah,
even do it
yeah, I don't know.
because I think he's commented on that before and said that he's like too old now. Um. Okay, a couple more and then we'll probably be done. But do you think? Okay, so this is kind of a big one. It might take the rest of the time, but in regards to Robert Downey Jr. being casted as Doctor Doom, it is quite clear to me that they did not do that because he's the best actor for the role. They did it because he's Robert Downey Jr. And
Yeah.
so with that comes a question. Do you think that they're going to have an alternate version of Tony Stark help the Avengers too? Because I think it'd be really
Um,
cool to see like maybe not bring back the one from our universe. I don't think you should, but like maybe like an alternate universe Tony like pitted against Doom
yeah.
with like this
Um, I,
vitriolic hatred for each other. I think would be cool.
I don't I don't really know. But what I do know is that I honestly, genuinely, in my soul,
Mm-hmm.
hate the casting of Robert Downey Jr. as Doctor Doom. I don't like it at all.
I understand.
I really wish they would just go with somebody else. It's very clear that the reason they chose him is because they're losing a ton of money, and
Yeah,
he's the most popular actor that they've had in the franchise.
ever. Yeah,
Maybe they've got something up their sleeve that's going to make me not hate it so much. I don't really know. We'll see. But right
we'll
as
give it a
of this
chance.
moment, I
Obviously.
hate it.
Yeah, but I think it adds a lot of cool story possibilities. But like, I would be inclined to agree. I don't think it really. If I were to pick, I would have casted Mads Mikkelsen personally, who plays Hannibal. If nobody remembers who that is.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
that would have been a decent pick.
I think he looks perfect. Personally, the reason they probably didn't do that is because he's already in the MCU. He's that forgettable ass villain from Doctor Strange. They wasted him. God, that was such.
Um,
Caecilius or whatever the fuck his name is, the guy that was part of the Magical Order and then like got expunged because he was like brutal and stuff.
hmm.
You barely even remember. See,
Yeah,
that's my
I don't
point.
even
They
remember that
ruined it.
character.
They butchered it. Um, because personally, I see Marvel wanting to have their cake and eat it too. I think that one of the little things about him coming back was he also agreed to play Iron Man again. Now, that could be like a super brief thing or it could be a long thing. I do not know. But I think I would be very surprised if he doesn't suit up at least once.
Um, there's there's some characters I would rather see as Doctor Doom.
Me too.
Um, or sorry, actors,
Actors,
not
yeah.
characters.
I'd be inclined
Um,
to agree.
I would I would rather see Cillian Murphy. I've seen that one a few
Oh, that's
times.
a good
Cillian
pick.
Murphy would be great.
That is a good
Also,
choice.
also maybe somebody a little less conventional, like Michael Fassbender or Rami Malek.
I think Rami Malek would have been a fantastic choice.
Yeah, it would have been a weird one.
It would have been
He
a little
doesn't.
weird, but he is intimidating. I've seen it in other stuff.
Michael Fassbender could at least do Super Swole Doom.
Yeah. I think Michael Fassbender would have been even weirder because he plays Magneto in a different franchise.
That's true.
I think that would have been even weirder because I fully expect that Robert Downey Jr.'s face is going to play a part in this story. I I fully believe that Doom is going to approach them as a friend and they're going to trust him because of the face he has. And then reveal by the end that that is not what you should be doing.
You know what would be a really interesting one that I just now saw that I
Hmm?
never considered?
What?
Here's two of them that would be even more interesting. Adam Driver,
Hmm.
uh, or Giancarlo Esposito.
I don't know if I'd say Giancarlo because I feel like he would just play
He
Gus again. And I don't really think that they're similar enough. But I could be wrong.
he does have a type, but he also was already in the last Captain America movie, so there's no point in them using him again. I just I think he's a great actor, and I think that he could do that role justice.
I think he could. It just depends. Um,
So Adam Driver is an interesting one too.
that's one I never considered before. Because if you.
I just now saw it.
1 second. Yeah, I think that would be a crazy cool pick, to be honest. Um, because I'm. Because you're right, I would be inclined to agree that I'm against the idea of the Doom casting. But, like, I've seen so many weird alternate universe stories of stuff that, like, I don't know. Like, I'll give it a chance. I think it could work. Like, the current Doctor Doom in the Ultimate Universe is not Victor Von Doom. It's Reed Richards.
That's interesting.
Now the
I
reason
don't think I knew that.
now the reason they justify it is quite good, and I'm not gonna spoil it for anybody who doesn't know. But like, I think it's cool. I'm down for something weird, and I think if they do it right, it could be really cool. But I just think this adds a lot of story possibilities. But that comes under a big condition. I I will be annoyed if this is the only Doom we ever get because
Yeah,
there is a possibility that after Secret Wars is over and this version of Doom is dead, that we get a new one in the MCU, which I think is what they're going to do. And I
that
don't
would be fine. Um,
we do
I
like
don't.
the whole Secret Wars thing, and then this new guy shows up, actually named Victor Von Doom, and they immediately don't trust him because of what just happened, kind of thing. I think that would be cool. Because I don't know if they're going to factor in the Latveria thing and all this other stuff. I don't know if you have time. I just don't.
Yeah,
That's a lot to cover. And if you do, it'll just
yeah,
be like a quick flashback of like showing Doom losing his family or something. And I think that the idea that he has a face that the Avengers like and trust is going to be a big part of the story. I would be flabbergasted if there wasn't some like huge fight between Doom and Spider-Man in some way.
yeah. I mean, that would be good. That would be fantastic. I feel like that should happen eventually, at least.
Like imagine how Tom Holland's Spider-Man would feel if he sees his mentor again and finds out that he's trying to kill the Avengers.
Yeah, no, that
like
you're right. That would be interesting.
or maybe like or maybe even better, they find a way to make Steve younger so he tries to talk some sense into this version of Doom and Doom just kills him or something nuts.
Yeah,
Like something crazy. I think there's a lot of cool stuff you could do with this, but the problem is that it comes off as super fucking desperate, which it is. But there's a lot you could do with that. Imagine maybe Spider-Man gets the symbiote or something and he like starts losing his shit and goes right after Doom. And you see like
Yeah, that would be a crazy thing. That might be a little too much for
I don't think
these movies.
I don't think they'd do it, but it'd be cool if they did. um, let's see if I have any more, actually. Yeah, because what I think is going to happen, personally, final thoughts and theories here. I think that I have a lot more theories about Doomsday than I do Secret Wars, because Secret Wars I think is going to be pretty close to just what the book is, which is wild if you guys haven't read it. But my theory here is that Doom is going to try and cause an incursion more overtly by manipulating the fact that he looks like Tony to try and get the Avengers to fight the X-Men in some way, to try and make the incursion as bad as possible so that he can find a way to get to Loki.
Yeah, I could see that. I think no matter what happens overall, the MCU is uh, perhaps going back in the proper direction. It's encouraging to see a new Avengers movie at all,
Yeah,
um, even though it's missing, some of the characters that most people already know and like. But I think if the MCU is going to make it going forward, they're going to have to find some more people to lean on, some new characters to lean on. So if they're smart, they'll either spend a bunch of time with the Fantastic Four, or, in my own personal
they probably
opinion, what
will.
would work better, just lean on the X-Men.
Really? You're not
Yeah,
biased at
I mean,
all. Uh,
the X-Men carried Marvel comics for a long time, so I don't really
yeah,
see why they couldn't do it with the MCU
that's
as long
true.
as they don't,
It's true.
mess it up pretty bad.
I also like every leak we've seen has said that the next saga is just called the Mutant Saga. That's
Yeah,
just what it's
I mean,
called.
it should be.
So like
So it's about time.
we're gonna have to see. Uh, do you think? Final question: do you think we're going to get a fuck ton of cameos from like early 2000s people in Secret Wars? Like, do you
In
think we're gonna
Secret Wars,
see
almost definitely.
like are we gonna see Ben Affleck Daredevil or like uh,
I don't know if we'll get that one, but you're gonna get.
Eric Bana as Hulk, the early 2000s Hulk? Uh,
Yeah, yeah. I think that you could get him. I think that I think that Ben Affleck Daredevil might be a little bit of a stretch just because of what a big actor he is now.
yeah,
Um, but it's possible. It's just how much is Marvel willing to pay,
that's what I
and
was gonna say. Is that's something to keep in mind. These movies are expensive. That's probably part of why this cast list isn't like what we thought it was. Because just imagine how expensive that was to pay for all those people.
yeah,
Even
and
just Patrick Stewart and
they keep
McKellen,
making these people
like
stars too.
even just those two was probably a metric fuck ton of money. So anyway, that was kind of all I really was curious about because I think that this is interesting to talk about because I really hope that Marvel kind of gets their shit together a little bit, and I think they are. But like, unfortunately, the only real aside from Daredevil, which is better, the only real project that's gonna be like because if you didn't know, they Disney switched CEOs at one point to Bob Chapek from Bob Iger. And Chapek basically told Kevin Feige that he needs to just pump out as much MCU content as possible and kind of told him he doesn't really have authority on some of these things anymore. Uh, and then Bob Iger got back in charge and told him to just do what he does, essentially. So if you're wondering why it was a fuck ton of content, I don't think that was really his fault. But
Yeah.
that era is going to end with Fantastic Four going forward. So that I think Fantastic Four and these next two Avengers movies are pretty much make it or break it. If these suck, I think Marvel's dead.
Um, I'll probably still watch,
I
but
will too.
I need to see some X-Men stuff before I give up completely. But
Yeah,
yeah, I think that their viewership is going to go way down if they're bad.
yeah. When I say dead, that's what I mean. Yeah. It.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, uh, that's pretty much all we've got for today, guys. So I'm gonna go ahead and call it on this video. Hopefully you like this kind of thing. I might do it more. We'll see. But I just had a lot to say about this one. I thought it would be neat. So that's all I've got to say. Like and subscribe. I would appreciate it. And I'll definitely be reviewing these movies when they come out. You bet your ass I will. But I think the whole planet's gonna watch these movies personally. But even just for nostalgia's sake. But anyway, that's all I've got for today. See you guys later.
Bye.